Well, anyway, we're live, everybody. Welcome to Brain Food Live on Air. It's episode 371. We're bringing it to you. I kind of doing like loads of these shows, even midweek now. And the reason why is because we have so many new technology products coming into the world of recruiting that it's very important that we bring it to the audience and say, okay, this is what's happening. Maybe you should know about it. So today we're going to do a special with our friends at Pin. I just want to thank everyone for joining us. We have Stephen Liu here, the CEO indeed of the company. So Stephen, great to see you. And thanks for joining. What kind of time is it over there for you? I hope it's not too early for you, man.
No, it is 1 p.m. here in sunny Brooklyn at the moment. I have my sweater on, but it's mainly to rep the company out. So
Rep the brand.
yeah,
Absolutely essential we do that. So great to have you on the show. And I really do appreciate founding folks coming on to share time with us. I think the audience really appreciates that as well. So
yeah,
thank you
of
very
course.
much.
Yeah, thanks for having
Folks,
me.
no worries, man. Listen, just a quick couple of sound checks. I want to make sure everyone can hear and see me and Stephen okay. So if you're watching this on Crowdcast, do let me know whether the audio and visual is okay. Last time I ran this, by the way, we had some audio problems. So do let me know
Hmm.
whether you can hear and see us. We should also be broadcasting this on a number of LinkedIns as well. So if you're watching this on my LinkedIn or anybody else's LinkedIn, do let me know whether the audio visual is fine. Just drop me a comment and say that's okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Kamini. Thank you, Michael. Brilliant stuff. Adam, thanks a lot as well. Okay, everyone can hear us. That's great. Stephen, always interested in the founder story. When did Pin become a real thing for you, man? Like, when was the itch, and when did it become a thing?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we started Pin back, I think, in 2 years ago, roughly now. I got the itch back into recruiting. So this isn't my first actually SaaS recruitment company. I started another company back in the day in 2016 called Interseller. And that company, if y'all remember, basically was like helping recruiters do the outbound for recruitment, right? Finding candidates and then helping you reach out to them. I sold that to Greenhouse 5 years after in 2021. Spent a few years at Greenhouse and like just realized that AI has this like cool capacity to like really solve the AI sourcing problem. I think the big thing for me was that I had an idea like this back in the day, but it wasn't possible because like AI wasn't a big thing and machine learning was actually very difficult to do. So I heard of AI and was like, man, I should try something here. And like basically, I've always had this idea that LinkedIn was like always the number one source people were utilizing Interseller on top of, right? Finding the profiles, reaching out to them. And I always was like, man, this is really inefficient. Why do I have to go through pages and pages and pages of LinkedIn recruiter results in order to like basically find one candidate on page 7 where it should have been on page 1, right? And so I set out to basically solve that exact problem. And so every single result on Pin that you're trying to find candidates for is on page 1 rather than page 20 or non-existent in the first place.
Yeah, don't we all miss the paginated search experience, folks? There's a lot of recruiters out there right now thinking, yeah, I remember going through like 20 pages of candidates and just that was your job, right?
Yeah.
And I remember back in my day when you generated that list, you know, you were sitting down for like the afternoon would be just going through that thing. That's 2, 3, 4
Hours.
hours worth of work, right?
If not days.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and mentally you'd have to get in the mind to do it because you know it's a grind. You know you're going to be staring at these things. So that is that world gone, Stephen? I mean, do you think?
I think like my hope is yes in the next year or so that like even today on like Pin's product, like I would say 70% of candidates that we suggest to our customers basically get accepted. That's our goal, right? Like we want to make it feel so burdenless that like basically you want to go and source because like that is the engine that you're operating. In the day and age of AI, the problem now is that like people have taken the 2016 strategy of just like let me just mass email everyone and scale that to 100, right? People think that that's the way to go, but as that gets saturated, the problem is like there's so much noise now that like you need to be able to cut through it. And the best way to do so is being like a sports agent, finding like the 10 best fits and going beyond just kind of like keywording, like accountants in startups and things like that, and going beyond of like, hey, this is the exact person that I want. And this is like, I'm going to spend all of my time and attention that I saved from sourcing to basically like talking to them and saying like, hey, you should join our company, like basically being the sports agent and making them feel like the most important person in the world, right? That's where I believe we're headed in recruitment.
Yeah, really good. Thank you for describing that time distribution shift, because I think that's very clear in my mind. So previously you'd say, you know what, all the effort would be on the mass quantity. You're going to get a bunch of people, you're going to push out the mail merge, and obviously then handle response, and then from there figure out who's the right person.
Yeah.
But now you're saying with Pin's technology, Pin can isolate the top 10 people, and then all of the time you spent handling the thousands of people should just be concentrated into those top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the best sourcers in 2016 knew this. And like that was the strategy. If I were able to look through 2,000 LinkedIn profiles and chose the 10 that I wanted, they were winning because they knew that the game wasn't about the numbers, the game was about the people. Right. And so they won. But the problem was it took them almost a day to go through 2,000 results. Even like the best sourcers, like it took them hours and hours, and everyone now outsources it because like they don't want to do it. It's a grind. It's a mental grind on your head too. Like you're trying to be as subjective and less biased as possible. But the best thing, right, is that like, what if AI just helped you do all of this, right? Now you've, instead of a day, it takes 10 minutes or 5 minutes, right? That's the objective. That's our goal of PIN.
Yeah, yeah. Folks, I want to hear from skeptics in the audience. If you're listening to this and you're tired of hearing people say AI is going to do all of this, why do you feel that's the case? Like, why do you feel that this doesn't happen? I'd love to get your perspective. My view, I'm pretty much bought in, because basically the stuff that sourcing has been is that we were like interrogating inefficient systems with our data input to drag out more data. So it seems to me that actually that's base case for what AI can do, right? I mean, if you want AI to do something, it is to ingest a bunch of data and then pull it out and then summarize it. Seems to be like the basic use case. So it should mean that a lot of the sourcing activity is going to be shifted onto this technology. But yeah, folks, I want to hear from detractors. I want to hear from skeptics. Why do you think that's not the case? Let me know in the comments. Stephen, a question for you in terms of like, how is PIN different from the other sort of AI sourcing solutions out there? We're seeing a huge amount of them sort of pop up every day now. How do you differentiate between them?
Yeah. So big thing, right? Like I think you're touching on like the skeptics. Like there's so many products that like advertise AI, but ultimately all they did was like they put AI on top of the tools that you currently have today, like whatever it is, mail merge, LinkedIn, etc., data, but didn't do any of the actual work to help AI actually be able to find those people. So like one of the biggest differentiators that we are set ourselves to is like we needed to rebuild the search engine for PIN. So that way AI can actually capitalize on all of the data that's available. If I can probably speak to every recruiter out there, LinkedIn's data is not great. There's a lot of it, but ultimately, like you get a wide, sparse amount of profiles, right? You get profiles who are like game the keyword system, and then that's the only people you get. And then all the best profiles have absolutely nothing on them, right? So it was only got like the company name, when they've worked for that company, and a job title, and that's it. Doesn't tell you any details. And basically, like think of it as this game, right? Like the candidate is trying to describe themselves to the recruiter, but the recruiter is searching for something else. And so what we've done is we actually created this new system behind the scenes where basically we've rewritten every person's resume with AI, given all the knowledge that we know about like the company, the job postings that they have, everything that you could possibly imagine, and rebuild what we call as the shadow resume, like a 20-word shadow resume that recruiters would want to search for. And that made the whole world of a difference for us. Now you can actually search for the details that like recruiters actually want, rather than trying to translate a job description into keyword filters, then reading a bunch of resumes. We just skipped all of those steps and said like, you should just be searching for what you want. not trying to figure out how to get what you want. That's kind of the main difference. That's the biggest thing, main differentiating factor of PIN.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Stephen, and so well described. What I'm hearing here is that basically, people the sort of the primary data that both the candidates and the recruiters put into the system, it may not. What's between the lines? Like, what do they really mean by doing this? And you've basically been able to figure this out in the background and then search against this. It's basically really in between the lines. Like, well, what do the words mean actually in this context from this person? And that's one of the things where classic keyword search or keyword matching never got right, is because it just understood every word is always carrying the same meaning. But it doesn't, right? It doesn't. I mean,
Absolutely.
software engineer in one company is a different job to software engineer in another company. And folks, if you're a recruiter, is your recruitment job the same in every company? A recruitment person in company A might be doing a very different job from a company B, even if you're holding the same job title. So that's a very, very interesting innovation. Okay, go ahead, Stephen. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, you nailed it. Think of it as like another part where basically someone's top talent in company A, which does like, let's say, is Uber, and like another one, which is like a finance company. Their top talent looks very different, right? So even though that they may have matched very similar skills, their top talent means different things for them.
Yeah, very, very good. Stephen, let's dive into some of this. I'd love to see. I don't know. Don't show us anything you can't show us, but I'd love to see it in action. I think Gavin there is saying, "Okay, let's show something." Okay, Gavin, it's happening. So let's have a look, man.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen. We're just, you know what? I'm just gonna run a search that just hit my desk this morning to help out with. Particularly, it is Range.com. They're like a finance SaaS startup. Particularly, they're looking for a VP of marketing. So really, it's as easy as this. I take the job description, I create a new job, I paste it into here, we import it. I tell PIN, especially who I'm hiring for. That's the most important piece. Because again, like I mentioned before, hiring for company A and hiring for company B means completely different things. So I'm going to kind of like continue. This is just running straight live. PIN's going to ask us a bunch of follow-up questions. Are these...
Quick question, Stephen. Sorry to interrupt. Sure. You're saying that basically PIN will understand that a company's requirements are going to be different. How would you understand that? Like, can you give us a bit more of a sort of meat behind the bones as to how you determine the requirements will be different company?
Yeah, so we research the company. That's the main aspect, right? We're looking at your current employees. We look at all the past employees you've worked with. We look at like the products you sell. We look at every little detail, to funding rounds, to headcount sizes, everything of that nature. So we do all of this research up front to then basically pull in more information to empower your search. Typically what would a recruiter do, right? You would hop on the phone, you would ask the hiring manager, what do you do? What are you looking for? What technologies, etc. Right? We're doing that up front because we can get all of this data because all of your prior employees and your current employees have this information. And so that's kind of like what we work off of to help deliver a better search result. But cool. Yeah. I'm going to just burn through this super quick. You know, this is a calibration of PIN asking up some follow-up questions. Would you accept like other titles, seniorities, etc.? What area are we particularly looking for? What skills are the most important piece? I'm just burning through this. Of course, like you can modify and change these. And then here's the bread and butter, right? Like typically when you are scanning resumes, you are asking yourself a few questions on like, I want to accept this person or decline it. PIN can just answer it for you. So every single resume would have a yes or no answer for you to like help you visualize, did they do these very specific things? So I'm going to go through this and just say like, cool, those are the questions I want. They were generated for me automatically. One awesome feature of PIN too is every single action you do on PIN helps train PIN to get better and better at showing you results. So all of the things that you may have forgotten or you couldn't describe, or all the details that like that you didn't like, that you left out, we can actually pick up on it on each and every time you accept or decline a candidate. So this is kind of what we would call calibration mode. Calibration helps kind of like figure out those details for us, but I'll skip that. It takes a really long time, about 3 minutes to walk through calibration on average. So I'll continue without just to get some search results. But key main thing is that search results do take a little bit of some time because of that
No, this is the live demo, folks. So, firstly, credit to Stephen for literally going balls out on it. So it's brilliant to see it. And secondly, I think we all know calibration now. It's like weird how fast we've understood this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. To the audience, do you understand what it means to when Stephen talks about calibration? I think 12 months or so ago, most of us would probably say, actually, I'm not sure. Calibration is now we understand it's going to give us some preliminary sort of results that we've got to do a yes, no, maybe to. And that's going to then refine the results going forward. And it's this kind of interactive experience that we need to have with AI in order to get the best outcomes from it. So this is very different from search engine. This is educating the AI, even educating yourself sometimes as to what you're really looking for. So I guess the analogy here would be presenting some sample resumes to a hiring manager. Back in the day, you would say, hey, what are these folks like? And the hiring manager say, yes, yes, no. And that would then educate the recruiter to know a little bit more about future candidates. This is what calibration is. So I think we know what it's amazing how fast it is, though. It's like I think our use of AI, the diffusion of AI across Gen Pop essentially has produced this education for us. So we're learning as we go. But okay, we have some results here, Stephen, right?
Yeah, totally. You can see a little bit behind the scenes, but let me try to see if I can get rid of it real quick because I'm not supposed to show that. But for the time being, we will. Okay, so you can kind of see behind the scenes a little bit of like our system and how it kind of works too. But key thing here is that we're going to show you profiles, right? We're going to show you kind of like the top candidates we think would fit essentially range.com, and also describe exactly like why they would be good fits, right? But given the questions that you have. Pin does obviously behind the scenes guesses at if you're going to accept the candidate or not. So we have like an acceptance likelihood score behind the scenes. Of course, this is like my debug version. So like the end user wouldn't be able to see this, but we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes before even showing you the first candidate. So here's kind of like an example where Mary here used to work for prorata.ai. We can click into the company. We can see their headcount. We can see like basically when they joined and the funding rounds in between, the size of that company, what did they sell, a lot of different things, right? So all of this information is available to you. And the next action that we do is basically to accept them or decline them, right? So as I mentioned, every time I press outreach, I'm finding their email address for you automatically. I'm doing all of the work. And then the next cool part is we've generated the sequence for you automatically, right? So all of the candidates that I just accepted go through an email sequence. We also customize each and every single email for every single candidate that gets sent out. So hyper-personalized emails. We can also do other mediums like text messages and things like that too. All of this, just a click of a button. Basically, I'm now reaching out to somebody. And we also support ATSs, so we also sync that over. So just one click of a button, and you've got 10 candidates that you would love immediately. And Pin, of course, rank orders each and every of these candidates to the top. So meaning the best candidate is always at the top, not on page 7, not on page 10, always position 1.
Yeah, really good. Folks, I know there's a bunch of questions coming into chat. That's brilliant. Do ask them in chat. But if you definitely want Stephen or any of the other guests we're going to bring on to answer the questions, use the ask a question feature on the right-hand side, because that basically will concentrate the questions that will come to towards the end of the show. Okay, brilliant stuff, Stephen. Very, very exciting. I mean, I would say this type of technology, this type of tooling would be magical 2 years ago, completely okay. Nothing, this is just be okay. Game-changing stuff. Now it's here. It's in people's hands. Where is pin.com right now in terms of its general maturity as a business? Like who's using it? Where is it? Where are you guys basically as a company?
Yeah, totally. I would say we've definitely compressed the amount of time that we've gotten to in terms of my last company to here. Again, we've been in the recruitment space already, so even though we're 2 years old as a company, more than I would say seven, or I think seven of my team members from my last company joined me for this company. So altogether, we've got basically 8 years of experience of just being in the SaaS industry, and especially in this field. We've got almost 1,000 customers today, of which split between around, I'm going to say around 70, 65% agencies, and the remainder being internal TA. So we've got a good, healthy amount. Our background, obviously, is helping a lot of agencies out back in the interseller days. So that definitely carried over here. But yeah, we're pretty mature. We're practically growing pretty bananas. We're 11 people in total, and yeah, hopefully growing more very soon.
That's amazing. 11 people can build a product like this, guys. That's fantastic. It
Yeah,
really is evidence. I mean, one thing that we can understand from this AI kind of moment is that the tooling for recruiters has just got like step level increase better. I mean, your capabilities are now so much more advanced. Okay, folks, thanks, Stephen. We're going to go to discussion. We're going to bring on a few characters for you to interact with. Let's talk about it, because technology like this is going to change recruiting, right? So okay, what is it, how is it going to change? What do we need to do about that? What are the skills that recruiters need to succeed today? And are there different people? Do we need to find different types of people to come into the industry? So anyway, a few people better to commentate on this than the folks we've got here on screen. By the way, I'm sure you know these folks already, but I'm going to introduce them. Actually, you can introduce yourself. So Brian Fink, let's go with you first. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself, Brian? Who are you? What it is you do?
you're on mute.
That's Brian. Yeah, you're on mute, bro.
Well, hey, I'm Brian Fink, April Fools. I work with 40 to 400 employees to help them scale when it comes to their engineering talent and leadership. I'm excited to be here. I was going to say, hey, I'm Adam Posner, but I'll let somebody else take that for April Fool's Day.
Great to have you on the show, Brian. Obviously, everyone needs to follow Brian. I've just shared his link into the chat stream there, the LinkedIn into his chat stream. So make sure you connect with him there. We have Adam Posner here as well. Adam, wonderful to see you. Can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do?
You're also
Adam,
on
you're
mute.
on mute.
April Fools.
This is Crowdcaster's fault. They default everyone to mute, even though it's obviously a live stream. It's very annoying.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we're cooking. I'm cooking with fire. It's my favorite day of the year, April Fool's Day, the day that my wife celebrates me. Absolutely. My name is Adam Posner, the founder of NHP Talent Group. Been in business and recruiting for about 11 years, specializing in all things marketing, media, tech, specializing in product, UI, UX, and creative. Also the host of the podcast, a top global career podcast. And all three folks here have been on the show multiple times, and Hung is one of the OGs, the first 25 guests. Almost at episode 500 now. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. And by the way, great podcast, folks.
Thank you. And I'm also a very, very, very avid pin user. I'm wearing my pin shirt here. Representing.
That's great stuff. Adam, why don't you share your podcast in the chat stream there as well, in case people want to connect and subscribe? I think it's well worth doing. Okay. Big question is, we've seen the technology. Brian, Adam, and Brianna unfortunately can't join us today, but I think all users of the technology. And the question is, look, we think this is obviously going to change recruitment as the job. But do we know in what way and how? What are our thoughts on this? Brian Fink, have you got anything you want to share?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that Stephen scanned over really quickly is what I call the dossier feature, is that when you have a candidate come back and it shares with you those questions that they've answered, it also checks the box as to where that individual has that experience. So when I have a conversation with a candidate and I have personalized that outreach at scale, I'm able to speak Hung exactly to what they've done. And I'm able to ask that question to make them feel comfortable and earn their trust right off the bat. Hey, I noticed that you have experience with Kubernetes. Did you do something in EKS? Oh yeah, I know that, and I know GKE. I immediately get them started talking because I've already inculcated in the relationship that I know something about them, that I can speak their language, that I can have that conversation, and we can move magically together down the aisle of holy career matrimony.
Wow.
This guy's a poet. I mean, basically. But Brian, really, sort of well done on isolating that particular feature. I wasn't aware of it, but basically, it enables the recruiter to have a much deeper, convincing relationship with a candidate that previously you'd probably need to spend. You'd need to have spent a lot of time to extract that information in another way. But the technology basically pulls it towards you essentially.
So, Hung, that was one of the things that was the deciding feature for me to pull the trigger on Pin. So, real quick, Stephen, I've been a paid user for a year and a half now, right? So, like, this is one of the features that you're trying to collect your notes before you get on the call with the candidate. All I have to do is click on the link in the email from the first email that I sent them. It brings back up their dossier in Pin. We're able to have a conversation. I'm able to reference what I talked about in the email that was sent to them by the AI. The AI is writing in my own voice. I've loaded that information to it. I mean, look, you know great sourcers, right? Like Irina, and I would love for Irina to try this tool. Irina, if you're listening, I want you to try the tool. is that for me to go site command linkedin.com/in or site command github.com, and for me to scrape all that information and to go through it, I am wasting hours of my day that I could be spending with my family. I could be cooking. I could be taking my daughter to school. I'm wasting all that time. And so it gives me my time back, and it allows me to appear to be a much more driven and research-driven recruiter.
Yeah, really,
I don't
really
need to
good.
say anything.
Yeah, well, Adam, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna ask you. But before I do that, I mean, there's a lot of folks here that have kind of grown up in the Boolean search era, right? So when Brian talks about Irina, I think all of us know what we talk about, who that is. Irina Shamaeva, obviously a legend in the game. But if you think about what Boolean search is, it's basically an inefficient. It's a system that's inefficient. It required humans to actually get good at advanced Boolean search to extract the information you wanted. What AI is doing completely differently is to allow a natural language search to pull the information that you're looking for, rather than having to try and figure out how the machine works or that particular machine works and then go down to the system. So we're dragging the machine up to us rather than us going down to the machine. That should democratize recruiting, actually. More people should be able to be effective recruiters doing this, right?
In theory.
In theory. But Adam Posner, you don't think so?
No, I agree. I think there's two sides of it. First of all, Brian is the sultan of sourcing over here. I had an opportunity to sit through his keynote at TA Week, and he took everybody to school. He was essentially reverse engineering social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok on how you could find and engage candidates. And I really think that's the next level. And I'm sure that Steve's working on some secret sauce there on how to integrate the social media platforms. That's something I'm keeping an eye on, because I truly believe that you have to meet candidates where they are. I can't even tell you, as a recruiter, I've been actively recruiting for 11 years. And if you think about the technology and the platforms that are available to me, back when I started, it was LinkedIn Recruiter. And I was beholden to a candidate responding to a message or an email, basically their email platform. A lot of candidates, set up their LinkedIn on an old email. I've been on LinkedIn 20 years. I think I recently changed it to my Gmail. So you're only beholden to whatever email is attached to that account. You need to be able to triangulate their most active recent accounts. Pin does that automatically. And now listen, I've kicked the tires on many of these tools, and Pin, I'm not just saying this, but Pin is light years ahead. One of the pieces that I love, and I'm looking down at my Pin screen because I'm in an active search right now for a VP of engineering here. And the piece that I love, one of the pieces that I love the most about Pin is the AI evaluation, right? You're able to ask just natural language, like from your mind, typing into the computer what you're looking for. For example, I'm asking if they led engineering for a B2B SaaS or marketplace product in the creator economy. It's a pretty specific kind of question there, and it's going to give me check marks if they have it or not. So a candidate may have 2 out of the 3. At least I know from a prioritization standpoint, based on the job, how important those factors are to the client when I'm reviewing the rest of the role. These are game changers here, in addition to everything else that Brian was talking about.
Yeah, these are basic. It's deep context, isn't it?
Deep
again,
context.
It's like we know what it is, but they're rarely expressed in the job description. Almost never expressed in the job description. You only find that out like after you've pumped 20 candidates into the hiring manager, and the hiring manager says, no, I'm actually looking for this, and you've wasted 3 weeks. So
just to double down on that's a huge part of the recruitment process, right? The job description, I would say most of the time is written by the hiring manager. You want them to be. Sometimes it's not, but it's not until you get into the search and you present candidates over to the hiring manager and they're providing feedback when you need to close the aperture of that search. And that's where these features come in, where you could fine tune it, where I'm not going in and I'm rewriting the job description. I'm not just going in and updating the basic criteria function, which is pretty standard table stakes on most of these platforms, but having that natural language AI questions is the real unlock here.
Actually, Adam, I got to disagree with you. I think that
what?
Okay, so like I think it's an unlock for sure. But when I'm working with an organization that needs help finding nurses, how do you discern what a nurse is? Are they an RN? Are they a BSN? Are you typing all this information in there? Or does PIN imply and say, oh, you're looking for a neonatal nurse? Well, would that be a neonatal oncology nurse? Like, it goes through and it open ends that question and then brings that information to you so that you can call who is going to be the person that you call. And that's another thing, Stephen, you left that out, that you also find phone numbers. So for those of us who are addicted to the phone, we can get on the phone with the candidate and be like, yo, I sent you an email. You need to respond to that immediately.
Amazing. Going back to the hiring manager producing the job description, I think that's always been a huge frustration for recruiters. Because let's face it, I mean, pre-AI, the construction of the job description was basically copy-paste. I mean, it was always being like, let's just drag something that was similar, copy-paste, replace all. That's essentially what it is. And it's a template, but it's quite far away from what the hiring manager actually wants. And the calibration that we usually did pre-AI was actually do the work and then bring the candidates back. And it's only when they start rejecting the candidates that actually we figure it out. But we can see that AI compresses that down to minutes when it would have been, weeks worth of wasted time. Really good.
I think the keep me straight here. The ideal profile, when you get in the ideal profile, when a hiring manager also gives you a few sample profiles. Also, I like to look at the hiring manager's profile and just, bring it down a couple of years younger if it's a more junior role. You kind of have an idea of a general profile of what they're looking for, background of their company. And you could add, Steve, I don't know how many you could add in there. I've added up to, I think, 4 or 5. You could add multiple profiles. So the more data you give it, the better.
Yeah.
Stop press here. What do you mean add profiles? Are we talking? Go ahead.
You could there's a section in there that says include ideal profile, and you simply put in the candidate's LinkedIn link in there, the profile link.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few cool other things too, by the way, which is you can send a hiring manager review. And PIN will learn off of the hiring manager's choices and comments too. So you don't have to have, the hiring manager does not need to have an account. They don't need to log in. They just get a link, and they can also provide that feedback to the recruiter. PIN will also gather that feedback. That's kind of cool too. And then there's the other features too. You can search by your hiring manager's LinkedIn connections. Will show you if they've overlapped with other employees at other companies. All of those details are provided to you. That's just a much more powerful way to search, especially in the game of the Rolodex game, that if you're playing that as a recruiter.
Yeah, really good. Okay. In terms of, by the way, happy to just dive back into these product features and stuff like this, because as Steven mentioned, he literally blasted through that demo. There's going to be tons more that will surface out on the sort of back of this debate. But let's talk about how the recruiter role shifts. I mean, is it a case where an agent is simply now superpowered so they can take on more recs and they can basically make more money? So I guess there's one scenario that where this might work. So suddenly all this time compression should mean, hey, listen, I can just run more jobs, right? Or I can run maybe more high risk jobs because I'm not going to burn 20 hours my week working on what was previously a poor quality piece of business. Actually, these days I can work any kind of business because my risk is actually a lot lower. So you've expanded sort of the types of opportunities you can work against. or does it actually shift the job? Like, for instance, do we maintain the same number of jobs but do something different? Like, in other words, we shift our attention somewhere else, and therefore, we spend our time doing different things. Have you guys got any thoughts on this? I mean, has your job changed in any way, or has it simply been, okay, I've just times X my potential to make money?
I want to share a little real world story here. So last year I was going through a pretty big major health battle journey, and my time was limited. I hit a wall at 2:00 every day. Fatigue was real. So I needed to figure out a way to still deliver, as I was delivering for my clients. And it forced me to lean into the technology, when in the past I've been maybe a little bit more hesitant, kind of stuck in my old ways, but I leaned into a platform like Pin, and the world opened up to me. I was able to exponentially increase the speed of my sourcing, my outreach, and caveat, with accuracy. Because if you're just spraying and praying, that's doing no one any good. But utilizing a tool like this was enabled me to truly work faster and stronger. In fact, I was more productive. And I told Brian this. I was busier than ever. I took on more clients. I filled more roles while I was going through this for a year because I had tools like this. Now, I'm curious on Brian's thoughts, how it's shifting the role of the modern recruiter with these tools.
So there are two things that come to mind. The first one is my lovely wife is that she likes a good bullion string as much as the next guy.
I know.
But she also really wants me to spend more time with our daughter. And when Adam talks about that, like, look, I wake up, first thing I do in the morning is I write. Second thing I do in the morning is log into Pin. Third thing I do in the morning is take my daughter to school. We have an hour car ride together. This is something that it's given me more humanity with my daughter. It's let me be a more present parent. How does that translate to recruiting? That if I'm happier and I don't look at recruiting as a chore, I look at it as a responsibility. This is an opportunity where I've got opportunity to change lives and to change hearts and minds. And when I met with Steven 2.5 years ago at SourceCon and I saw the product, I was like, okay, this is cool. But when I decided that I was going to go out on my own, and this is the second part where I say I love my wife said, can you do this for $500 a month? And I said, $300 for Pin, $100 for a cell phone, and $100 for internet. I make it back in spades every month. If you're an agency recruiter and you are not using Pin for $300 a month, there's something, it's not going to do the work for you. It's going to enable you to do better work. And that's what it's done for me. That's why I'm able to churn out. Steven, you got the numbers. I churn out 3 to 4 placements a month, right? That's it.
You're right. Doing well, Brian. Also, it's even cheaper than that now. So it's like,
oh yeah.
It's $100.
I'm a snob. Everybody knows about me and my snobby shirts, right? So.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to go to the pricing because I think you might want to say. But now we've talked about it. How do you actually charge for it, Steven? Like, what's the model here?
Yeah, seat-based license. Our best deal in the industry, literally, I don't think no one can beat this, which is $1,200 per year. So paid up front, $100 per month for a single seat. Of course, like as you kind of get into the team features, we get to like basically max price of $179 a month. Obviously, there's a bunch of other things, but we have pricing straight on our website, so you can take a look right in front in there.
What does a seat give me, Steven?
Everything you just saw. There's no lockout.
Wait a minute.
Steven, what? There's more.
It gives you more than that. Okay. But wait, there's more. There's a feature in LinkedIn that is LinkedIn Talent Insights. The team at Pin has built an Insights tab that lets me know what research I need to do to be able to reach people at scale, whether they work at a hospital like the ones I referenced at the beginning, or whether they work in technology, and I can map it. I can take all that information, I can export it, and I can share it with Mr. Client and say, I know you think you need to hire in Austin, Texas, but if you're looking for Python engineers, that's not where you want to go. So I'm able to not only am I able to deliver talent, I'm able to deliver advice at scale. Steven, you left that out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There it is. Feature. Okay.
Wow. So
this is the talent intelligence feature, Steven. Is that right?
So this is like a talent report on all of your requirements and seeing basically like where have they gone, what kind of startup experience do they have, what skills, industries, seniority to years of experience, practically everything. Basically, this kind of gives you like a whole glance of like what the talent market looks like given your search. And you can print this and you can send it to your client.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, again, talent intelligence, that was like on a tear before AI, right? It was like, oh my goodness, everyone needs a talent intelligence team, et cetera, et cetera. You had these companies saying, okay, here we're going to give you the license. Now, again, a democratization of intelligence. It's like suddenly so many more people have access to it through tooling such as this. And it's just going to make people better recruiters at the end of the day. I mean, it's going to save companies in time, you know?
Can I show Adam and Brian a feature that's coming out later today? Let me show you guys.
I'm sure they won't complain. I mean,
do you see this tab over here?
Pipeline.
Coming soon.
Oh, you dropped this alpha transform. We're going to have to clip that up too.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's basically
get the whole general gist. Yeah, soon, coming out later today. But the cool part about this is actually it will move and understand the progress of your conversations automatically, so you don't actually have to manage it yourself. It'll give you kind of a digest and everything as you're doing kind of like sourcing. You need a schedule. You have the interview coming up, a lot of other things too. But it's coming out.
Well, so wait, Stephen, you dropped this, but I want to go back 2 steps. Hung. One of the things that's a time saver here is that if a candidate says, yes, I'm interested in a conversation, I have this configured to my Google Calendar and it automatically says, is 5 p.m. a good time for us to meet? And you say yes, and it sends them the request, right? So I'm not cutting and pasting a Calendly link. I'm not, no shout out to Calendly. I love Calendly, Atlanta company, loyal to the A. But I'm not doing those things. Like that was a conversation Adam and I had, and I was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, it'll sound just like you. Like it'll send the message on your behalf.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, so Pin basically mimics your voice. So what we do is we take a look at your prior existing emails and gives AI the ability to kind of like match your tone and how you would typically interact with candidates. So that way it feels natural to you and not just like AI language that says like your background intrigued me, right? Like it really kind of like hones in on like the language that you write.
Yeah, and those micro sort of optimizations, I mean, we know the price you pay for switch tasking. To switch task onto looking for availability and then to, send an additional link and all the rest of it. It may take a small amount of time, but the cognitive effort is significant. Like, it really is, especially if you're a recruiter. Remember, recruiters do a lot of this scheduling and a lot of this stuff. It's going to weigh you down. And what Brian and Stephen just described here, it looks like it's automatically going to sense when the opportunity there is to have a meeting, and then boom, it's there. So yeah, crazy efficiency here. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so this tells me that from the agency side, we're going to see, it tells me we're going to see a lot more like solo one-person companies emerge, because suddenly, I'm not saying this doesn't work at a major sort of 20,000 person staffing agency company, but I can imagine a capable, experienced recruiter thinking, you know what, with this, I can actually go out on my own and do tons more.
I was just going to build on that too. I mean, I'm able to exponentially scale my own. I'll touch other recruiting roles that might be outside of my realm, which you were alluding to before, and at least give it a shot. And I'll test the market on that. I'll see if I could hit a home run out of the park real quick on some big wins. I'll play home run derby when I have a little bit of bandwidth here and there, because I have the ability to do that now. The research is done for me. Yes, I still have to trust and verify. One of the things across any of these platforms, I don't use the agents, right? I don't use the automatic outreach, because the roles that I'm working on, I still need to review every single profile before I hit send on that. Some roles, lower level entry roles, you can do that. You can, automate it a bit. But for the roles I'm working on, it gets me 90% of the way there before I hit send. So I could work on my roles. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting. So expansion of scope, as we get it. Like sometimes when there's a new vertical emerging, or you think there's an opportunity there, you want to dip your toe in. But prior to tooling of this type, it was just such a struggle to get to the point where you could even understand what the market is. But here again, compression of time, you can be a legitimate player very quickly in a new market and potentially give it a shot. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about sort of where we get the data. I think that was a conversation. By the way, Erica's been brilliant in the chat, providing some of that support. But the data is, I mean, do you collect the data yourself? Where do you get it from? How are you coping with, people are going to say, hey, listen, this is against certain types of like data privacy stuff and all the rest of it. What's your narrative against all of that, Stephen?
Yeah, totally. There's like super well-known data providers. We're pretty agnostic to data. So like we love to just inhale as much as we can from everyone that's possible. We only work with extremely reputable companies, but at the same time, it's like we search like the whole world wide web of information. So if your data is out there similar to like how Google operates, we're going to crawl it, we're going to find it, we're going to make it searchable. But of course, like if you do not want to be surfaced by PIN, you can obviously come to our website, submit a request, and voila, you'll be private again. But in my entire lifetime at PIN, and just to kind of put in context here, back in the day, we used to get in interseller days like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 requests per week to get removed from interseller. I think we've only gotten one in our entire 2.5 years of lifetime. And the reason being is because you're actually targeting people correctly. That's the main difference, right? Yeah. When you get hit by a role that is absolutely for you, you're not going to be like thinking like, I need to get rid of myself from the World Wide Web. You're thinking like, how can I contribute more? Like, I want more of this because like this is upgrading me as a candidate. So that's like kind of the main, like, this is just storytelling between two different like narratives of companies. We've gotten literally like one in the past 2.5 years.
and to that point too, just to build on it from an actual user, I think I can maybe count on one hand in the last year how many unsubscribes, remove me from your list I've gotten. I mean, yes, you get the occasion, and also I've gotten a lot less bounce backs. I mean, fractions compared to other platforms in the past. It's the hygiene of the email. Now, you're not always going to land the right email. Some folks may use a Yahoo over a Google, right? But the bounce backs of the actual accuracy of it landing in the inbox is what's key.
Yeah, like
actually,
counterpoint.
No, I don't have a counterpoint. I have
a disagreement.
I have an addendum. Is that one of the features that I like is that we all worry about email deliverability and ending up in the primary folder on Gmail. Yeah, like you can customize, and PIN says, don't send this many emails. Like they give the direction. Yeah, not only do they throttle it, but they also they have it sequenced. And one of the other advantages, Hung, is that if I run an email to Adam or if I run an email to Steven and I'm approaching both of them for Adam's VP of engineering role, it's going to put pertinent information in the email about Steven's background, which is going to be different than the pertinent information about Adam's background. And that's another reason that it lands in the main folder instead of in whereverville.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we talk about the sequencing too for a little bit? I'm not sure if this is featured also there, but you also have the ability in the sequence too to send a direct connection request as one of your steps, along with a customizable message, and then a direct message as well if you have the credits set up.
Yeah.
So you have multiple touch points if you can't get through, and if you're not a phone jockey, right?
Yeah, omni-channel, like practically speaking, like just implementing a second channel into your outreach increases your response rates by 1.5 times. Just a clear difference of just kind of between two platforms is just email and us. It's not about like replies and response rates are still at the same level that we've seen up until like the 40 to 50% for some. But the most important piece actually is the interested rate. Our interest rates increased almost like 3 times by just like implementing great search and like that that tidbit, the relevant information, right? Those two pieces together, like you care about how many people are interested in you have interviews, less people responding to you. That's our focus, right? Because this search engine that we build basically affects everything downstream, right? You don't have to worry about any of these other things. That's kind of the motto inside of our company. 5 years ago, we were battling 2 support tickets a day about like landing in spam in the interseller days. We do this maybe like once per 2 weeks now. It's like what way different. It's just a way different experience.
There's a really good question in there about, Stephen, and I'm curious as too. Is it US only, or how much is it global expansion? Someone's asking about sourcing globally.
Yeah.
Global. It's global, baby.
Close to global, not
Well,
completely global.
hold on. Okay, so I've done 2 IP attorneys in the UK using, so
United States, Canada, Central America, South America, and Europe. We are expanding our next places at the moment. We're expanding to Israel, UAE, Australia, and New Zealand. So those are the next 4 countries we're expanding to. The hardest part is like as we introduced new markets to our AI, the challenge is we actually read every single person's resume. So all of it's in different languages. So like in Canada, right, there's a lot of French speaking territories. And the one like crazy part is you can actually search in English and you'll get the French profiles. Previously, before, you can't do that. Like same thing with Spanish profiles and things like that. We've read everything. Like that's where the proof is, where I'll say like, did you actually read all of it? We did. Like the main difference is like we'll surface you even Spanish profiles, French profiles in different languages of any kind, and you can search all of them super easily.
That's really, really interesting. And by the way, some of the more venerable sort of candidate search tools, they struggle with stuff like accents. You know, like certain languages have lots of accents in the naming, and actually, if you don't get the accent right, the guy doesn't turn up. And how are you, as a non-native speaker, are you able to understand when the accent needs to be on a certain letter? So I think this is definitely something that's going to go away as a problem with tech like this. Okay, let's go to questions, because I noticed the time of flying through this, which is fantastic. But I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to have their questions answered. So now's your chance, folks. Put your questions into the question feature here. We're just going to go through them one by one. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, just ask a question in the comments. I'm going to fetch them in as we go through here as well. Let's just go through them one by one. Okay, I'm going to go at the top to bottom, and I'll read out the question for the folks who might not be watching this. Okay, I'm going to go with Lisa's question here. Where is Pin pulling the data from? Strictly LinkedIn or from other sources? I think we've answered it already. It's basically everywhere, right?
Yeah, World Wide Web. Let's just call it that.
The whole thing. There you go, Lisa. How about the next one from Gavin? How about manufacturing roles, electrical engineers, frontline workers? It's all very easy to hire, to search for people of working digitally. We're talking about frontline people. Can you get those folks?
Yeah, I would say extremely skilled labor, in the sense of like there's a very specific thing that they do. We do very well in. I would say for hyper localized searches, we don't do super well in. I would say like the best ways to kind of get hyper localized candidates is going to be like programmatic advertising, junior level roles, all that kind of stuff. So we are in our like swim lane, in the sense of like knowledge based work, like 3+ years of like experience, that kind of stuff does really well. We do plenty of construction work, to be honest, like electrical, plumbing, you name it. I think we've seen it all. We do pretty well. I would say like it may not be our bread and butter, but it definitely works super well still.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Try it.
Yeah, different strokes. I went to a village yesterday, just a random village in the south of UK here, and there's a recruitment agency with paper board still advertising jobs. I
see them in the supermarket all the time.
Yep. This happens, folks. It's not tech's not going to solve everything, especially not at that type of level. So, okay, thank you for that question, Gavin. Okay, Jennifer Parker saying, okay, are there any constraints in terms of data sources it pulls from? And I guess the follow, Jennifer's also asked, what would happen if LinkedIn decided to block profile data access? Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not going directly to LinkedIn. Again, we're buying data from people sourced directly, extremely reputable, like basically that have contractually obtained that information, right? So also, again, we're super agnostic to like what the data sources are now at this point, to like we're trying to inhale as many data sources as possible. So let's say one disappears, we still have plenty of others that we work with. Another thing too is just to kind of like hone in on like Pin's mission. We're building the best search engine possible, right? And so our goal eventually over time is that like you can bring in your own data. Remember all that ATS data that you're not utilizing? You can search that inside of Pin, but our goal is basically like, let's help you bring the search engine on top of whatever data source you currently have. That's our goal. That's our mission. Build the best search engine ever known to recruiters.
That's amazing, because I know everyone in this audience has got an Excel file of like 50,000 candidates that they've downloaded. That's just sitting there without use. I know that's true. Okay, good stuff. Very, very interesting, guys. As we come to the end of this kind of show, there's two areas I want to just touch on before we finish. Firstly, we've talked about how technology of this type really empowers recruiters, particularly agency recruiters. It's going to give basically additional capacity. Recruitment agents is typically going to work more jobs and deliver more, potentially deliver more revenue to themselves. How is it going to affect the internal part of the market? Is that the same thing? Like, they're going to work more recs? Because I think a lot of people think, okay, great. Do I really want to do that? How do you think it's actually going to work for those folks, Brian?
Actually, I wish that Michael Goldberg from US Renal Care was on the call, because they have a lot of inbound candidates that apply to roles, and they're trying to go after a very specific medical profile across the United States, right? And I think that this allows us to act with more precision as an internal recruiter, as internal TA, that doesn't exist unless you're doing programmatic advertising. So you're able to do that at scale, and you're able to connect with those candidates in a real visceral, direct way about what's important to them, as opposed to a generic job posting or even in that programmatic spend that you might find on different job boards.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And I think, yeah, for the internal folks, the task is, if the time has been delivered to you, sort of you've returned to you with this technology, you've got some influence as to how that your job is going to be reshaped. It could well be that you go back to business and say you can absorb more recs. That's totally something you could try. Or you could say, hey, listen, I can do more things within the business that we wanted to work on and that we've never had time to kind of correct for. Okay, cool. Let's go to, actually, before we go to Stephen, final word from you, Adam. How do you think, I mean, you've been a heavy user. You mentioned you're maybe a super user of Pin right now. How do you think that it's going to change your business going forward if Pin continues to innovate in the way it has done over the last 12 months or so?
The two words for me are speed and scalability, that go really hand in hand. The ability to operate faster and deliver better, higher quality candidates to my clients. Again, recruiting is a numbers game in most cases, but when you could be hyper-focused and hyper-targeted on the right candidate, you could spend more time engaging that right candidate versus spraying and praying to the masses.
Yeah, really good. We've got a question in LinkedIn here from Jamie. Stephen, you might as well give this a go. Does it sync with your ATS? So I guess if you have existing technology, like, how does it work with that?
Yeah, so back and forth. So candidates you find get pushed into your ATS, whether it's Greenhouse, Lever, Ashby, or even the like Bullhorn. We support it all. We have 50 plus, can't name them all, including all the small startups too, and vice versa. So you'll also be able to do what we call as talent rediscovery inside of Pin. Candidates who have applied to your roles in the past can be rediscovered inside of Pin utilizing a very basic search filter inside of our system. But yeah, so two ways. Yeah, both ways help you kind of get what you want out of your ATS.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And Stephen, you've already shown us a little bit of a sort of behind the kimono kind of thing with the release today. What else is happening over the next 6 months for Pin customers? Have you got anything you can share with us?
Yeah, so first two things, we are creating an MCP. If you don't know what that means, AI can fully operate Pin for you, so you don't actually have to do it yourself, number one. Number two is we're bringing a new experience, a sub experience to Pin, which gets Pin to the next level of being much smarter on choosing candidates. So like Adam said, like our primary goal is get to quality faster, because like the hardest part is getting quality is actually a difficult thing. And what Brian said, it feels like a chore initially, it takes hours to do. The less we make sourcing feel like a chore, the more you're actually going to enjoy it. So that's our goal. Make sourcing enjoyable and less.
Make sourcing fun again.
We could do that. Yep. But yeah, that's I think these two guys definitely have like hit the nail on the head on sourcing today.
Fantastic. Make sourcing fun again. Let's see the cap. I mean, don't
make sourcing great again?
I think
no. Oh no.
No.
We're not, Connor, we're
Happy
not
April Fool's Day. Make sourcing great again. Yeah.
Okay, great. Listen, we have to close it off there. I just want to say thank you for watching, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it and got value from it. You can find out more about Pin. I think it's just pin.com, isn't it, Stephen? Is that what it is? Pin.com, just check it out. I mean, it looks like there's nothing to lose on this. And even if you went for like the full-on premium plan or whatever it is, it's cheap enough for you to not kill your business.
We use the word affordable,
like
affordable.
Hey, listen, I'm all good with the cheap and cheerful.
Cheap
the point
and cheerful.
of the matter is, it is something that's going to make a difference at low cost, and that is something recruiters need, especially if you're like popping out of a big corporate and you're starting on your own, as you did, Brian, and Brian and Adam, you did. I did back in the day. You need the tools that are going to be effective and cost effective. So fantastic stuff. Check it out, pin.com. Thank you all for watching. Stephen Liu, thanks for coming on and sharing your time with us. It's super. I'm super thankful for CEOs for chopping out an hour of time spending here with us here. So thank you very much. Adam Posner, Brian Fink, of course, pleasure to share the screen with you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And folks, let me know if you're interested in more shows of this type. I'm sure we could bring Stephen back in a 6 months' time with more revelations as to what the tech looks like then. Let me know in the comments whether this type of show is interesting for you, and we'll bring it to you if you think it is. All right, that's about it. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Chag Sameach. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast. I think we're off live, folks. So yeah, thanks for the time, folks. Really enjoyed the conversation. I think everyone really got tons of value from it. So yeah, brilliant stuff. I think we're still live, by the way. So don't say anything right now. The UX on Crowdcast has changed on me. So it's probably safest I just end the broadcast. But there we go. Listen, Stephen, Adam, and Brian, thank you so much. Erica, you've been an absolute hero on the chat there, so appreciate what you're doing there as well. Erica, I'll jump in the call with you in a minute, or when you're free, actually, and we'll just do a wrap, and we'll see where we go from there. But gents, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome.
Be well. Thank you, Hung.
See you.